All right, joining me now from Berlin is Sam Rose, who's the acting director of UNRWA Affairs in Gaza. Good to speak with you again. So tragically, many in Gaza are dying of starvation and facing death if they try to get food aid, a no-win situation for so many. So in terms of the security situation around aid delivery specifically, what's going wrong in your eyes?
Thanks for having me on. Look, what's going on is the way this system is set up. Thousands of people are being forced to journey several kilometers through itself a war zone. And let's not forget, people are not just dying from starvation and at this hub, but they're dying through bombardments as well that are continuing. But people are being forced to journey several kilometers in heat through a war zone into essentially what are cattle pens to collect aid. It's impossible in these situations to provide any kind of security. There have been multiple shooting incidents. I think a CNN investigation overnight indicated that that gunfire likely came from Israeli troops, and people are being killed and people are being injured. And the situation is so desperate that people continue to come for that food, or else they find themselves in the midst of these crowds that are being shot at, and panic and chaos ensues. That
Yeah.
seems to be what's happening.
And the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, it has somewhat four aid distribution sites compared to the UN's 400 or so. Is that at the heart of the problem here?
That's part of it. Four of these hubs, I don't know how many precisely, have been functioning at any one time. I believe maybe two at most. The much vaunted figures of 7 million meals that have been distributed, when you take that over the space of a week, that's fewer than 1 million meals a day when the community needs over 6 million meals a day. So 7 million meals over the course of a week. My organization, UNRWA, alone, we distributed over 75 million meals in the first 10 days of the ceasefire. And we're not just talking here about food distribution. The aid community provides shelter supplies, hygiene items, menstrual supplies for women. We provide shelter, healthcare, water, sanitation, garbage collection, all these things that people need for a dignified life.
Now, that organization had paused aid delivery for a day to sort of address some of the problems. But looking at the scale of the challenges, I mean, it sounds like it would take a lot longer than that, frankly, to fix.
Yeah, look, we have 400 distribution points so that we can reach people as close to where they're living, so that we can provide these distributions in an orderly, dignified manner where people are called to say that it's their time to distribute aid. They come in an orderly fashion to distribution points that they're familiar with. Their names get checked off a list that are on a bulletin board outside, and they're able to go home. What we have here are people who are being forced towards armed militarized areas. It's aid that's being provided by one of the parties to the conflict, and we're seeing that it's not working. And it gives me no pleasure to say that everything we said about this, what would happen, has actually happened. It's
Yeah.
devastating for the people on the ground who are continuing to starve, continuing to suffer.
Now, they've frozen your organization out. The argument that Israel and the Trump administration makes is that your organization could no longer be trusted to deliver aid because they claim so much of it was being stolen by Hamas. How do you respond to that?
I mean, we'd ask for evidence. We'd ask for evidence to show that aid provided by UNRWA, provided by the UN, has been stolen by Hamas. We've not seen any of that evidence. We've not witnessed any of that theft. I was in Gaza for 15 months and we didn't see it, alongside hundreds and hundreds of humanitarian colleagues, none of whom have reported wide-scale diversion. If you don't believe us, United Nations agencies, humanitarian organizations, and the simple answer is to let the journalists in to document it and look into it for themselves. I have nothing to hide. We have absolutely nothing to hide on this. We believe we have very robust mechanisms for the distribution of aid that prove themselves to work during the ceasefire.
Yeah, certainly the needs are so great. Something needs to be changed here. Sam Rose, really appreciate having you on.
Thank you.